Hey guys, I am Game Advisor and welcome back to another Back 4 Blood video. Today we're going to be going over a DPS build that you can use in Veteran and with some changes in Nightmare mode. So let's go ahead and get started. Now do keep in mind some of these cards are not going to be in the perfect order, so feel free to switch these around as you see fit. First up we have Silver Bullets, which is a card that will give you 10% increased bullet damage on a flat level. That means all your weak spot damage and your regular damage is going to have 10% additional damage. After that we have Heavy Hitter. Now I don't really have time to go too in depth on this card, but just know there is a number of reasons why Heavy Hitter is OP, but what it basically boils down to is it makes your regular melee able to one-shot just about any zombie if you hit the head, and in some cases even if you hit the chest. This card is extremely powerful, and it may get fixed because it just might be bugged out right now, but until that's patched, Heavy Hitter is a must-have for every single deck. After that is Tactical Vest. Tactical Vest is going to give us more rifle ammo since that's the main weapon type we're going to be using in this build, and it's going to give us 10% increased damage with assault rifles and LMGs. I usually don't like LMGs because of that long reload speed, but just keep in mind that it does give you that as well if that's something you prefer. Moving down on the list, we have Ammo Belt. This is going to give us another 50% ammo. Since we are using assault rifles, we're going to be burning through ammo very quickly, so it is always going to be important that we make sure we have enough ammo to stabilize ourselves, because if we run out, we're going to be relatively helpless. Since we are talking about ammo, it's worth mentioning that you should communicate with your team if you're going to be using assault rifles, since if everybody's using it on the team, there's a good chance you're just not going to have enough ammo to do it. Now, if you're the only one, that's a different story because your team can give you their assault rifle ammo so that you get more and essentially just won't ever run out. This goes the same for them, so if they're using shotguns and you're not, you should be dropping that shotgun ammo. Moving on, we have a vitally important card. I sometimes might put this higher up in the list, but in this case I have it on the number 5 slot, which is Patient Hunter. Patient Hunter gives you plus 10% damage for every second up to 3 seconds when you are aimed down sights. Since we're going to be ADSing fairly often with assault rifles, this card is very powerful. It's a flat damage boost and it is very useful. Do keep in mind this doesn't increase your weak spot damage as far as I understand, just your regular damage. If you hit a weak spot, you do regular and weak spot damage, in case you were confused on that. Moving further down the list, we have even more damage coming out with our 7.5% bullet damage on large caliber rounds. This is going to be a flat damage increase. Anytime you see the word bullet damage, that means that increases your crit damage and it increases your base damage whenever you hit a creature. Now again, just one more quick reminder, if you hit a weak spot, you will do both weak spot damage and you will do your base damage. So it doesn't remove the base damage to do the weak spot damage. Number 7 is Shredder. This again could be higher up on the list depending on how you like to play, but since it's still in the first few, you could choose it earlier on if you want to. Shredder will make each bullet hit cause the target to take 1% increased damage for 3 seconds, up to 15%. That means essentially by the time you're halfway through your clip, anytime you're shooting a special or any high HP enemy, especially bosses, this card is very powerful and will increase the damage that the enemy is taking, not just from you, but from your entire team. Number 8 is Breakout, which is a absolute must-have in every single Nightmare deck, but if you're using it in Veteran, it's kind of a give or take whether or not you want it and how good your team is. I always like to have it regardless because then I don't have to rely on my team to save me if I get grabbed. Next is Hyper Focused, which gives you plus 50% weak spot damage. Now, this card is debatable because it does reduce your ADS move speed, which we do want a fair amount of, but if you're making sure to move in between your ADSs, it's not too much of a problem, and you're just going to be spraying at point blank anyways, so if things are right on top of you, it won't be too much of an issue. Moving further down the list, we have Hellfire. This gives you 45% move speed while firing, and 5% when you're not firing. This is again a all-around good card because it's essentially a flat 5% move speed increase with a 45% increase if you're moving and shooting. This is going to be extremely useful when you need to quickly get through a room and there's just a bunch of zombies in front of you, but you don't want to spend the time to ADS. Especially when you're using LMGs, this card becomes extremely powerful. That 45% move speed makes you move very fast when you're not ADSing. Now, from here forward are kind of debatable cards. You can use these, you cannot use these. This really depends if you're on Nightmare or Veteran, if you want them at all. So just take these ones with a grain of salt. So some examples I gave you here for things you could use in your deck would be Padded Suit, which is going to give you 10% damage resistance and 5 HP. We have Wide Mouth Magwell, which is just going to give you 30% reload speed, and we're not too worried about the damage resistance, especially for running Padded Suit, so we don't mind taking that extra 5% damage for 30% reload speed, which is essentially 30% more damage. Moving on is down in front, which again, it depends on your group. It depends on how well you're playing. And if you're playing on Nightmare, I always take this. If I'm playing on Veteran, it's debatable. But personally, being able to just not accidentally shoot my teammates or be able to shoot through my teammates if they have melee or something like that is always really nice. After that is Reckless Strategy. Just again, more weak spot damage. It's really not a big negative. You could have this higher in the list. It just depends on you and how you like to play. Are you good at hitting those weak spots, and so on and so forth. And again, just more weak spot damage with Ridden Slayer. Now, of course, I want to make sure you guys understand that this deck can be switched out with a lot of cards. You could put in more move speed for some of the higher difficulties. You could switch out for more damage resistance if that's something you prefer to have. You could have more DPS with a few other cards out there. It really just depends on what you like to play. There is a version of this deck that plays with SMGs as well, and you swap between both of them. I personally don't like it. I like to just focus on my assault rifles, have a lot of ammo, and do a lot of damage to specials, because that's usually going to be your job if you're playing the assault rifle. Hopefully you guys found this informative. If you do think there's another card that should be included in this list, or a card I definitely needed to have, please comment down below what that card would be and let other players know maybe what your builds are so that they can get a build that works for them if this one doesn't. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more Back 4 Blood content or content on other similar games. We do a lot of different zombie games, so do make sure to follow and subscribe to the channel if that's something you're interested in. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.